So I was just thinking about the importance of systems architecture because systems architecture is a lens through which we can view the world and perceive things and understand that complex systems are really just a collection of forms or a collection of structures that interact through functions to create an end value. That's all it is. So for example, a high performance compute cluster is a set of servers which have random access memory, which have long-term storage, which have GPUs for fast inference, which have CPUs for transactional workloads, and run on containers for the facilitation of software and hardware intercommunication and interoperability. And if you zoom out at scale, you have multiple nodes or multiple servers working together and being coordinated to serve the needs of an application like your favorite AI chat interface. So immediately you start to be able to zoom in and zoom out and see the different components that are playing at scale and how they connect with each other to deliver the end value. So that's one level of systems thinking, but you can even apply it to the mind and the body. So you can start to think about the different components of the mind from a conceptual perspective and what your own mind contains, and then also from the different structures of the brain that have different functions that play together to create your overall experience, and your body, how your skeleton's attached to your muscles, and your organs are able to help you process energy to keep the whole system and all of your cells operating and in flow and alive. And so we can zoom in at the cellular level, or we can zoom out and look at how the whole system works together. So systems thinking is so key. And again, I think the essential task is to understand the different structures or the different components of the system, and then the different functions of, and these different functions connect the system in the process of creating the value at the end of it. And that's the thing. The question is, what is the value? And the value, the thing that you're trying to create or understand, is what is going to focus your lens of systems thinking. Because if you look at things just from an overall perspective, that's valuable. But if you look at things like, okay, so how do people breathe? It allows you to focus on that process of breathing, of producing oxygen, and that focuses the different components that we're looking at instead of looking at the whole broader system. So it's important to look at that end value that's being created so that you can ground yourself and not dive too much into the complexities of systems thinking and having a scope that is way too zoomed out. So think about systems thinking, and if you're designing software, for example, think about the experience that you're trying to create for your users. And for example, maybe my experience is a platform that allows users to enter their notes and to gain personalized guidance from AI guides that are grounded in knowledge, grounded in key data, and grounded in key principles that I want to imbue the world with. Okay, so we have the end value, and then we start to think about the components that make this up. So we have, of course, our hardware and our servers and all of the components that make this possible from a compute perspective, but we also have the user interface and the different buttons on the screen and the ways that these different buttons relate to each other and the different HTML pages and the different CSS stylings and the brand colors. And all these little components, you zoom in, you zoom out, enable the overall creation of the experience. Another component is the language that's on the page. what are you communicating? What are you giving? And what buttons are there what buttons and what navigation structures are there to help your users navigate the information? And so these are important keys in systems thinking, understanding that value, the end value that your system is creating, understanding the components, and then understanding the functions. There's different functions that are connecting the different components. There's a function that will take user input and store it in a database somewhere. There's a function that will then grab the data and put it back into a user interface. There's another function that's going to handle user login, user authentication. There's another function that is, for example, the power of words to guide someone in a certain direction. And that's a function that the words are creating. And if you zoom out, it's how all of these components are interacting to create the final value. And that can be quite powerful. Keep analyzing different systems. Look at trees. Look at your garden outside. Look at the sun and how it powers the whole planet by giving sunlight to trees, and then the trees creating fruit for the animals, and then the animals dying and moving into the soil and leaving nutrients, and then creating room for more trees to grow. And it's all such a complex, beautiful system that we can start to perceive by looking at the forms and looking at the functions. And this enables us to engineer amazing things because we're able to understand the principles and the interconnections between large components and large systems. And so think about this and use it as a lens through which to view the world. And let me know what you think. Like, subscribe, making a video every day for 30 days. This is day 2.